If you don't eat an apple, the doctors will come to eat you out. It feels good, I can't lie. Every night just before I crawl into bed I enjoy the treat of a small red apple. I always end my day by eating the succulent fruit. My bedtime ritual may sound strange, but I do believe it gives me a better sleep and I always awake feeling refreshed and nourished. I have not missed a day of eating an apple for as long as I can remember. Well, that is until a week ago. I felt a yawn build up within my throat and so I let it out with an exaggerated sound. It was getting late and I was getting tired, so I knew exactly what I needed to do. It was time to devour my apple and go to bed. I got up off the couch I had been sitting on for longer than I would like to admit, and headed over to the kitchen. I walked past the large window that overlooks my fairly large backyard and towards the small wooden fruit bowl on my kitchen table. I looked down into it and expected to be greeted by a shiny red apple but instead saw nothing but the bottom of the bowl. It was completely empty. I had completely forgotten to buy more apples that day, which would have been a better use of my time other than being parked on the lounge. This was the first time that this had happened to me. It would be the first time in my post-infant life that I had not eaten a piece of the fruit before going to sleep. I tried not to worry about it too much, but deep down I knew that my sleep would be restless and unfulfilling. I climbed into bed, my stomach rumbling slightly as I positioned myself underneath the sheets. I closed my eyes and tried to clear my mind to try and give myself the highest chance of going into a peaceful slumber. With my mind blank and seeing nothing but blackness, sleep was about to be upon me. I was about to knock myself out when I was startled awake by a slight bumping sound. I jolted upwards in bed and listened for the noise again. Another bump sound echoed through my house. This time, I heard it more clearly, and realized that it emanated from my backyard. I kept listening, hoping that the noise would stop and I could just forget about it. But it persisted and I heard it for a third time. I couldn't ignore it any longer. I needed to know what it was that was causing this disturbance. I got out of my warm bed and hesitantly, and anxiously, made my way to the kitchen. My plan was to take a peek out of the window that stared directly into the backyard and then I would be able to see if anything was amiss. I quietly crept into the kitchen area, cautious of what could be causing the sound. I slowly tiptoed over to the large window and took a quick look out into the yard. It seemed mostly normal. The large grassed area was still intact, and the long line of trees that ran around the edge of the garden were still and unmoving. There was one thing out of the ordinary in the backyard though. Standing near the back of the lawn, there was a woman. She was staring up towards the window and towards me. Her long white lab coat swayed gently in the wind. Around her neck hung a stethoscope and across her face sat a thick pair of black glasses. The woman was clearly two things. She was definitely a doctor and she was most definitely lost. When I first saw her I was more worried for her personal safety than I was mine. I was perplexed as to why she was in my yard, but I was concerned that something bad might have happened to her that led her here. At that moment, I just wanted to help. I left the kitchen and walked over to the back door that leads out to the yard. I opened it and took one lonesome step out into the garden. The doctor followed my every move with her eyes, but otherwise remained motionless. I looked at her for a moment, still trying to comprehend how and why she was standing on my back lawn. I called out to her, just to confirm that she was indeed okay. "Hey, excuse me. Are you all right?" I called out in the calmest voice that I could muster. "Do you need any help?" The doctor didn't break eye contact with me, not even to blink, but still remained mute and frozen. I called out once more, and again asked her if she needed any aid. Once I had spoken to her for the second time, I saw a quick flutter of movement from the doctor. Her right hand ever so slightly moved closer to the outside of her leg. Slightly closer towards her pocket. The small hand movement made me nervous. Maybe because it was the first time I had seen her move, or maybe because she moved closer towards her concealed pocket which I couldn't see what it contained. I grew anxious, but still tried to remain calm and deduce what exactly was happening. I opened my mouth. You can check if there is a part 2 by clicking share and more.